Paint with me a motorbike. Today I'm working on a gift for my dear friend who will be soon changing jobs, and as his farewell gift I decided to give him a painting of his absolutely favorite motorbike. It is Yamaha RD350, and I painted few motorbikes before. They look complex, but I think that they are quite manageable if you have the right approach. So today I wanted to share with you how I approach painting a motorbike. And even if you are not a motorcycle fan, I think that you will enjoy the process and how this quite complex topic can be very easily simplified. So, as I said, today we will be working with RD350. This is the motorbike I will be painting. It is a reference photo of my friend's motorbike. And I took it in the orientation from the side. So this motorbike is basically black and red with white accent and a lot of metal silver elements. In order to make it a little bit more visible, I will change the tonal values, so I will make it slightly lighter so the differences will be better visible. In order to transfer it to the paper, I will use this photo, but sometimes when the topic is quite complex and I would like to get first familiar with lines, or maybe the photo is quite busy and it is a problem to find the most important things of the geometry, I trace it. And what I do is I take the photo into my iPad and I trace the most important things which I later transfer to the paper. So here I made this tracing for you. I did it, as I said, on my iPad. Feel free to just pause the video for a moment and take a snapshot. You can print it out later. So the most important are the proportions and the general outline. Here, as you can see in the, I will call it belly of the motorbike. Probably someone will correct me in the comments how it's called. In the belly of the motorbike, in the steering area, and behind the braking pads, there is a lot of small components which we won't be doing in a detail because this is artistic interpretation of a bike. It's not realistic painting. We want to still to look like a bike, but it doesn't have to be as detailed. We need to leave something for the eye to imagine, to add on their own. So, what we'll be using today is, first of all, the photo of the bike, which will be useful. Then we want a watercolor paper. We will be working with ink and wash technique. I'm using 300 grams watercolor paper. It's cotton. I have that from Hanemule. I absolutely love this paper. I have it in cold press, but to be honest, the best would be the hot press. I'm taking this cold press only because I ran out of hot press, and this cold press from Hanemule is actually quite smooth. The tooth of the paper isn't very visible, so I think it will be still good with the ink. Apart from the paper, I chose Payne's Gray. This Payne's Gray is from White Nights. I chose this one instead of other Payne's Gray I have, which is from Winsor Newton. The Winsor Newton one is a little bit more blue. This one is perfect dark gray, and we'll build it up to make this black color. Then I took the Aquarius red from Roman Szmal. I think this is the perfect red to match this red from the motorbike. It's not warm, it's not cold, it's perfect in the middle. and we can build a lot of different values of the color with it. Then I chose light silver from White Knights. We have a lot of metal components in this bike, so let's diversify the shades of silver so we can give the three-dimensional impression and it doesn't look like one big blob. And the second silver is dark silver from Van Gogh. Apart from that, we will be using white gouache for the accents and more opaque mixes. I have Posca pen in white. This is my favorite white pen. I have it in the bullet tip. Then we will use, these are some silver markers I have. They have different shades of silver, more white, more gray, more chrome. So we will build different components with these ones as last few layers. And we need liners. Here I have Unipin fine liner. This one is 0.3 and I have also 0.05. The only rule, you can take any black ink liner you want. The only thing is that it has to be waterproof. We will be working in layers with paint, so it would be not nice if it was smudging. Thinner one for the base and later thicker one for the final outline and details. I will be using my number 6 Escoda Prado brush. And for very fine details, this is Kolinsky size 2. How we will prepare it? Well, we'll use the reference photo, or if you have the sketch I had, or you have a sketch of your preferred vehicle, feel free to just use it. And I will use the tracing paper. The tracing paper is, I think it's called carbon paper. It has this layer which has like powdered something, which if you trace, it leaves a mark on the paper. And it is not like permanent because you can also erase it with eraser. So I'm putting this under my painting with the transferable layer towards the watercolor paper. And I'm trying to find the best spot for it. I can see that the bike wasn't photographed in perfect horizontal position. So I'm trying to just make sure that I will correct this thing. Yeah, right now it seems horizontal. And I'm taking the regular department store masking tape. This one is Tessa Sensitive for painting walls. And I'm just securing it for the moment of transfer so it doesn't move when I'm working and moving around. Now I will take, I don't know how it's called, it is like a pin which is used for sculpturing. I found it in craft store. It is like a little ball at the tip, and I will use it to trace the outline and transfer the geometry of the bike to the paper. Since my tracing paper or the carbon paper is in bluish color, and I also want to add some details, here I'm using the 0.05 fine liner and just going over it once again and adding some specific details which I didn't trace. So for the engine, I forgot to trace it, but I think it will be this circle, and for the other ones, it will be this circle. So I will just put it in. So right now, you may probably noticed why I wanted to trace it with a additional pen, because this powder from the tracing paper I have is actually transferring very much. So what I will do now is, because it became quite dirty, and if I add watercolors to that, it will be a mess, I'm taking kneadable eraser and just remove the powder from the tracing paper, the leftover, I basically erase the initial sketch, the one transferred, so it doesn't get dirty and messed up with my paints. So for the first wash, I will start with the red one. It's lighter and it is a little bit higher. So I'm taking very diluted wash of the red one and basically mark the areas which will be red. With few layers we will build up the three-dimensionality and the values, but first let's mark the areas which will be red. To be honest, I was thinking for a long time how to make this color combination a little bit more interesting. I much more enjoyed when I was painting his previous bikes, which were where the palette of colors which was much more interesting for me, like one of the Hondas or his Ducatis. So here we will add few expressive details to make it pop a bit. Here in the belly of the bike, we have some areas which are red. So let's add it just as some fields. We don't have to be precise what it will be, just some pop of color. And the same we have here in the wheel. And every time we are, let's say, done with some color and we will be switching, I'm adding some expressive splattering. And thanks to the fact that we will do it in different shades, it will create a sensation of movement, and it will reflect a little bit of this dynamic approach which we identify with motorbikes, you know, water splattering on the edges of the streets and everything. So right now, when we are done with red for a moment, let's pick up the Payne's Gray. And again, we are talking very diluted consistency. So we just start building the layers. These shades of red which we have here, we can cover with this very thin layer of Payne's Gray because they are really, really in the shadow. With the handle, I will go slightly over, but clean this area so later I can do a negative painting there. So this is our first layer. It doesn't have to be very precise because we are still talking about the artistic interpretation of the bike. Now when the little details and the first layer is drying, I can see that the bottom of the bike is already dry. So what I will do, I will mark it with a masking tape because right now it's hanging in the air, and it actually shouldn't. So let's mark like it is standing on some kind of ground. I will take a little bit of red and mix it with Payne's Gray, with majority of the Payne's Gray, because here we are trying to achieve more like a asphaltish color, but we don't want it to be gray because unfortunately it will be too much like the bike. So I'm picking up the red, so it is a little bit corresponding. It is more like a purplish color. And with a little bit of a dry brush approach, I'm painting shadows of the standing bike. It doesn't have to be much, it's just so our eye is interpreting that there is a shadow, that it actually stands on something. So now when the first layer is dry, I'm taking one more round. Let's see how many rounds we will need of red from Aquarius Red. This time we are taking a little bit more saturated value. And once again we are going over the red areas. And we are starting to avoid areas which are very like in the sun. Like for example here, I will avoid top of the seat because it is clearly in the sun. So I want that previous value to build for me that highlight. Here we have some reflections on the front, but we will manage that with white gouache later. And right now, let's focus on these red areas. Here we have the break of the okay. Here we have the, it will be black, so I didn't want to add red because it will be like underpainting. Okay, so let's continue with red. These ones are really in the shade, so this one will be really saturated of the values we will be working with. And again, and with more saturated red one, we will also add some expressive splatting. I'm adding it on these directions because this is how it would normally be visible to add the dynamics. If we add it here, it might be a little bit too busy. I mean, some of that will fall here, but the direction, like for example these ones, it should be in the vertical, in the horizontal direction. So now we have to wait until the red one is dry, because otherwise they will bleed into each other. But now I'm thinking that maybe for the, I don't know how that's called, visor, window, front screen, I don't know. I'll add a little bit of blue, so it is visible that it's transparent. I'll mix it with a little bit of Payne's gray, so it's not as intensive. But yeah, let's add it here. That was phthalo blue with Payne's gray, very, very diluted. I hope that it will actually dry even lighter. So now when the red one is done, it's not done, it's actually dry simply, I'll go with another layer of Payne's gray, a little bit more saturated, and I'm having the same approach. Wherever I see the highlights on my reference picture, I leave the previous layer and paint around. And here, the top of the, I think it's tank, will be actually lighter. And then we are also making a little highlight here, because that is reflection from the curvature of the surface, which is making the geometry of the tank. Yeah. I'm taking a damp brush and just softening it. And here, this part of the frame, I will actually do more in the negative painting. Later we'll come back with some details, but overall, negative painting will make it a little bit pop, because, you know, it actually is all black, so it's hard to distinguish parts from each other. And here on the tire, we have the clear refraction, which is also showing the pattern of the tire. So we want to protect these lights here and add shadows here in the bottom. we can be a little bit less detailed because the reflections which we have on the outer surface of this section are actually distorting how it looks. So there's a lot of light mixed up with black here. And now with the thickest consistency, we will take one more round with red. It doesn't have to be gooey, almost gouache consistency, but it has to be really saturated, because we are going into the biggest shadows and the deepest, darkest areas, which are in the biggest shade. So for example, this lamp here and the back wheel. And here with a damp brush, I'm redistributing it a little bit, so we have a softer transition. I take also this intensive red color and do few splatters here and there, so it is visible difference from the other red we did when it was less saturated. Now we have to wait for this layer to fully dry, and we can proceed to one more layer of black. So now let's introduce more darker Payne's gray. So we are heading for more saturated values of Payne's gray. And I will start with the tank, because on the tank we can see that the screw cap is actually quite dark. And later here we have the darker values. And let's soften it. Here in the belly of the motorbike we have few components which we will just mark around so they pop. From my experience, we don't need to put like every single valve, but if we won't put engine or chains or brake, that might be an issue. Then people will notice. So we'll just paint around the here the engine and just mark the other areas. But the engine started to pop out of this general blob which I made at the beginning. And here, just to make a little bit of a difference between the tire and the tire protector, I think this is how it's called, I will put one more layer on the protector, so there is a value difference and we can actually see that this is something separate. Now we'll take the light silver color from White Nights and mix it with a little bit of Payne's grey. The light silver on its own is actually quite light and we wouldn't see a difference. But when we add Payne's grey, we are actually getting this very nice silver, dark silver, cold shade. So we will apply it to the wheels and to some chromed areas of the motorbike. Now for the other areas, which are also, I think, steel, I will use the Van Gogh dark silver and just to make a little bit of a difference in the structure, I think these are a little bit like warmer shades of silver. And here for the metal elements here in the inside, I will use the previous mix of light silver with Payne's grey. Now when the Payne's grey is completely dry, I will make one more round with some details. Like for example, here on the engine, I forgot to mark the plate, which is actually helping us to understand the curvature of this feature. And same here. There's a flat surface which should be marked. I'll also dilute a bit the Payne's grey. And now when I know my values, I will go over the frame which I previously left like negatively painted. So right now we can actually add some. I can see that it needs some color. This sparkly silver color, the mix I used for metal parts, I'm also using here to splat a bit, as I said, adding a little bit more interest and structure to the fairly monotonous from color perspective topic. Now when the things are dry, we will use white gouache. I have Winsor Newton's designer's gouache, and I find that this is the most opaque one. So we will take a little bit of this white gouache, so we can mark the white accents and highlights for this bike. The first one which I will mark is actually the RD, because we need later to add the red layer. So let's make the base. And now we can start adding this white strip which goes along the red ones. Now it has to dry completely, because now we will be adding the liner. What we will do, we will use the thicker one. In my case it will be 0.3, and we will add a bit of I think it's called construction lines. Usually when the industrial designers are looking for the shape of the product they are designing, they start with many construction lines and later only like sculpture out the main shape. So in our case, we will reverse engineer that and indicate these lines, which will add a little bit of dynamics and this artistic industrial design vibe. The way we do it is we are looking for the most defined shape. So here we have a perfect one line, so we will just elongate it. Here we have the axis of the steering wheel, we will just elongate it. All the arcs will add movement to very stationary idea of the bike. And later with the same pen, we will go around it to add an outline. You can do it in one line, you can do it in like a few connected lines, which is also a nice technique to make it pop. But the idea is that the additional details are added with the liner. Before I added liner, I noticed I made a mistake. Probably you are already screaming in the comments. I don't know why I forgot about it the second time. This is this little break in the line. Probably it's two separate parts. So let's lift the paint and just add the dark Payne's gray on top. Okay, so let's add these construction lines. The way we do it, we basically follow the shape of the bike we already have. So if we have like line here, then we just, because this is how the designer would do it. Here we have this line and this line. So we can also like follow the seat and follow the, I don't know what it is, but it is probably intentional. Here we have the line of the tank, and we can also go in arcs. So here we have the arc of the front window, and we don't have to only add it on the main body. We can also add it on the like wheels or over the elements. Like this line is probably very intentional here, and here we have the frame line. Here we have the arc, the line which undercut the arc. The seat. So now it starts to be a little bit more artsy, even though, as I said, it's just reversed engineered what designers probably did when they were designing this motorbike. It doesn't have to be much, it's just to indicate the vibe of the picture. And now what we will do is, with the same liner, we will go around and make a proper contour and add some details on top of the washes we did. Here we have the highlight of the tire, and this is actually the only moment on the reference photo where we see the structure of the tire. So we'll just mark it here. So now when I went with the black liner, I noticed that in few areas I forgot to add the silver color. So let's fix it. I will take one of my markers now, and this one is quite dark, which means that it will be very easy to mark the bolts which are on the bike. We can just make one like dot, and because it's in different color, it should help with some visibility. So the bolts I decorate with a little circle with the liner, because if we have two shades of silver, it won't simply be very well visible. So just to add an accent that there is something and it's not like discoloration, I'm adding these circles around bolts, I assume. This is how it's called. And now with very thin brush, for me it would be this Koliński size 2. I'm taking a bit of the red paint and I'm mixing that with white gouache. I could try, but I'm taking only a little bit white gouache because what I want to achieve is a more opaque mix, so I can paint on white. Because now we are going to this RD situation. So it doesn't have to be exactly the same. I don't think I'm able to do it exactly the same, but we definitely want to make a similar placement of colors so the eye tells the rest. And now I will take the Posca pen because it has quite fine tip, and I will add Yamaha and RD350. Yamaha is a little bit bigger than it is in comparison with the reference, but I think it still does the job. So right now we can take the Posca marker and add highlights on some of the areas. So marker will dry a bit, so it will be more transparent. It won't be as opaque. And now with liquid chrome marker, we are adding a few more details on the, for example, here is like the end of the valve, I think, which is also silver. Here we have additional like layer of, it is a different shade of silver, so you might not see it on the screen, but it will add 3D effect to already silver elements. And with this Molotov liquid chrome pen, I'll also add the most important thing, which is the chain. As I said, we can forget about few valves or few elements, but like things like engine, like brakes, or in this case chain, actually shouldn't be forgotten. So we will add the chain here and here. And with a black liner we'll add some details, so it actually looks like a chain. And there you have it. Now we have to wait only until it's fully dry, and once it's dry I will only secure it with protecting spray. I'll do it outside because it actually stinks. I will be using this protecting spray from Talens. I will spray it on and it will be ready for framing. I hope you enjoyed that content and a little bit different topic of paintings. And let me know if you tried it out or if you have painted a vehicle before. Maybe you have some tips and tricks which I haven't discovered yet. Write me down in the comments section and see you next time.